All right, let's kick things off today with the reigning, defending UFC featherweight champion, the one and only Alexander the Great Volkanovski, who, of course, we were thinking about this past weekend as we saw Brian Ortega defeat the Korean Zombie. Is Ortega next for Volkanovski? We shall ask the man himself right here and now. First off, champ, how are you?
I'm good. I'm very good. How about you, mate? How are you?
All is good. Thank you so much. It's great to talk to you again. And so, yeah, we've been thinking for quite some time. All right, who's next for you after the fight back in July? You get your second win over Max Holloway. There was a little bit of talk of maybe you guys running it back for a third time. Didn't seem like you were too keen on that. And then all of a sudden, here comes Brian Ortega 2.0, new hairdo and all. He defeats the Korean Zombie on Saturday in a very impressive performance. Do you think, based on that performance, that he should be next for you?
Yeah. Well, I think that was a number one contender fight. Zombie and Ortega. I think what are they? They were four. I think 3-2 maybe were they ranked, but that was a big fight. I know 100%. If Zombie got that win, he was definitely fighting for the title, and I was told that was the same case for Ortega. So I'm all for it. He did well. He put on a performance. I'll admit that I thought Zombie would have him, just purely through their past fights. But man, Brian changed it up. Brian showed some patience and timing and good shot selections, and yeah, it was good. It was pretty exciting. So that excites me.
What impressed you most about what this new Brian Ortega did out there?
Just yeah, like just the shot selections and his distance control and things like that. These are things that I'm well aware of, but I mean at the same time, I just didn't expect it from him. And you've seen like I always knew that these are skills that are going to be you know pretty tools I would use to take out both of these guys. You know what I mean? And Brian Ortega proved that was the case for Zombie. But now he's changed it up, so that's exciting. Now it's like, all right, it's a bit of a different puzzle that we need to figure out. So again, we're obviously I'm quite confident that I take Ortega out, but again, he definitely deserves a shot after a performance like that.
So a lot was made of the fact that it was, Ortega 2.0. Did you see a dramatically different fighter in there against Zombie than you did almost 2 years ago against Holloway?
Yeah, definitely. It was a complete different fight, and you're right. That's exactly what it is. The fact that if he went out there and just slugged it out and didn't show improvements, you know, it'd be hard to be like, well, is he ready for another shot? But to go out there and completely change a game, and as they're saying, I'll take it 2.0. It's just it makes sense now. You know what I mean? To go out there and take Zombie out like he did, it was pretty impressive. He didn't just go out there land a lucky punch or a lucky submission. He went out there and dominated and beat him from start to finish, and that's impressive.
Considering the fact that there's been a little bit of back and forth between you and Zombie over the past year, was there a part of you that was rooting for him to win so that you can settle this score with him?
Look, I was happy with either, but yeah, I'd be lying if I said that I wasn't hoping that. Not just that, I think they're both draws anyway. But I just think it probably could. It would be good to get my hands on him as well. At the same time, I know he apologised, and I know that wasn't him. Like the whole time it was his team, but I mean, still, if his team's going to make him say these things, they still need to pay. So it would have been good to go out there and then have a good look at his corner after I did my job, and then just go, hey, next time, chat you
Mm.
around.
The reason I asked you that initial question at the beginning of this interview about whether or not Ortega should be the guy is because there is a case to be made. He hasn't won a fight going into Saturday, or did not win a fight going into Saturday since March of 2018, and hadn't fought in 2 years. Meanwhile, there are other guys who have been a lot more active. The Calvin Caters of the world, even Zabit. I know he hasn't fought since November of last year, but there were other guys. So I was just curious if for you, like you felt like he earned it just based off of one win in 2.5 years.
Look, if it was just if he's coming off a loss against someone,
Mm.
down the line, but I mean, to be fighting for the belt, lose the belt, and then there's a new champion, then go out and taking out the pretty much the number one contender. I just think that just doesn't make sense. If it was still Max there, you'd be like, mate, it was only 2 fights ago. Do you know
Yeah.
what I mean? So I'd say that that make sense. But the fact that things are changing, and he come back and didn't just fight anybody. He fought the guy that, like, let's be real. If a Zombie won that fight, there'll be no question that he's getting that title shot. I mean, no one would be saying anything about that. And I think that's the same for Ortega. And everyone, again, man, this is how it is. You win a fight or you lose a fight, people will forget you like that once you lose. But once you win, everyone's talking about you. Now, this Ortega 2.0 is going to supposedly go out there and wipe the floor with me. You know what I mean? So, man, there's always going to be hype. Whoever fights, the hype's going to be there. So he fought for the number one contender fight. Dana White said it was the number one contender fight himself. And, I've been saying that it was. Obviously, you've got guys like, Zabit and like Rodriguez and Cater, you know what I mean? But the fact is, they didn't fight, which is pretty unfortunate for them. I was looking forward to Zabit, and because again, I think Zabit's a big fight. So I've definitely got my eye on him. I'll fight, Ortega if that is the fight. And, if Zabit goes and takes someone out, I'll definitely be keen to fight him too. Because, hey, I want them number one guys, man. I guarantee you, Ortega, if Zabit went out there and fought and beat him up, everyone will be screaming his name. I'll be like, let's go. Again, I want that GOAT status. I'm chasing that. I never used to talk like this. You've talked to me a few times. I won't just throw the GOAT sort of name out there all the time, but I'm chasing that now. And I don't think I'm that far away. If you start taking out number one contenders, defending your title, your name's going to be up there for sure. So that's my goal right now. And I want your Ortegas, I want your Zombies, I want your Zabits, Rodriguez, Caters. I want every single one of them. And I'm coming for them. Again, not many champions got their eye on the division like me. I ain't picking and choosing. It's a race to that number one contender spot. Whoever gets there gets a shot.
Speaking of Zabit, when his fight against Yair back in August fell through, he was campaigning to fight you. Did they ever bring that to you? And I know that you had just fought like a month and a half prior, but was that ever seriously discussed?
No, it wasn't. No one brought that to me. Again, I remember tweeting that, I don't think he was being disrespectful by it, but, I don't blame him because he must, find it hard to get fights as well, which is unfortunate for him. But this year fight was meant to happen a couple of times and it just won't happen. But, I'm not a replacement fighter. I'm the champ. He wanted me to pretty much replace Rodriguez. And, that's just not how it works. You know what I mean? So, and then you've got guys like Ortega and Zombie that were able to fight for that number one contender spot. So, it's just unfortunate for Zabit. I believe if he fought, everyone will be screaming his name. And again, I want him to go out there and I want him to win. That's a big fight. Everyone's going to think, oh, look, he's 6'4", and got all the skills in the world and all that massive challenge. Bring it on, let's go. That's what I want.
Also curious, did they bring Max Holloway Part 3 to you at any point? Was that ever a real thing?
No, that never come to me. Never come to me at all. You know what I mean? It was obviously it was talked about. Dana White, brung it up as just, but then he quickly, the deal was over that pretty quick. It just look, man. I've got all respect in the world for Max Holloway. We put a very close fight that last fight, but I'm 2 up. Why would I do 3? Just because people want to say whatever they want. You know what I mean? Again, they can. Everyone has their opinion, and that's fine. But at the end of the day, you know what I mean? I'm 2-0 against him, and it just doesn't make sense right now. I'm not saying I'll never fight him ever again. I mean, let me just move on. Let me fight some number one contender fighters. I can't just fight Max until, just keep rematching him till he wins. It seems to be what everyone wants, but that's not how it works.
One more did they bring to you question, and I almost hate myself for asking this question, but I feel like I'd be remiss if I don't.
I know what it is. No. You're talking about Henry Cejudo, I'm guessing?
Yes.
It was never brung to me. Like, that's what I mean. People are going to do it, they're going to do what they got to do. Everyone's playing the game. And look, man, me, I don't play no games. I'm straight up. This is just how Aussies are, love it or hate it. That's just how we are. We real. And, I don't pretend, I ain't going to tell someone to sign a contract that's not there. He's like, sign the contract. I'm like, what? What contract you talking about? You know what I mean? But it just, again, it's funny. Again, I don't hate the guy, but mate, he actually, I think he's been quiet for a little bit. I don't, yeah, he's a sort of a
Relative for
like it was a
him, relatively quiet.
yeah, well, exactly for him, but it seemed to be like just go away like a little like a just a pest he was for a while, and I was just like, mate. But again, it's fun. I enjoy it. It's good to let them all call me out, and
Yeah,
just
now
again,
he set
whoever
his
deserves
sights
it will
on.
get the shot.
He set
Whoever's the
his
biggest
sights.
challenge.
Yep. He set his sights. Sorry to interrupt on Teofimo Lopez, the boxer who just beat Lomachenko. So now that is who Henry is calling out these days. So
Uh,
uh, we'll see if he gets that one. I want to go back to Ortega if I can. He seems to have a lot of respect for you. He actually brought up a story about when Israel fought back in March in Las Vegas. This was after his incident with the singer Jay Park, where he allegedly slapped him at the event, and he said that you came up to him at the nightclub afterwards and were very nice and spoke to him about it. Do you remember that interaction?
yeah, I do. So I was I was at the fight. So I was backstage with Izzy, and that's when the slap happened. But I had a feeling something was going to happen anyway, because you got to remember, like, when Zombie was doing this trash talk, and it wasn't him anyway, but they'll start to be, run their mouth and say things. And I've got Zombie coming up to me going, "Oh, I'm sorry," apologizing, just doing it for this. So we know it's his team. And I remember Ortega saying that, if it was Jay Park, if I see you, I'm going to slap you too. So I was aware that Ortega probably would do that if he seen him. And I was backstage with Izzy, and that's when it happened. I come back, my coach, Joe Lopez, tells me about, Ortega just went, and they thought they punched him at the time. And then I was like, oh, far out. Like, I knew that was going to happen. And then I end up seeing him at the after party, Izzy's after party. And I went up to him. I just said, I go, oh, I heard what happened. Like, what was it go with that? He's like, oh, yeah. I go, like, because I told him I had a feeling, like, that will probably happen if you've seen him. But because again, like, obviously people are going to be like, oh, he's a pop singer. Why would you slap him? And I understand that, yeah. But at the same time, it was only a slap, so at least he didn't go all out. And I was like, hey, if people are going to run their mouth again, that's how we are down in here in Australia as well. We're real, so if you're going to say something, say to our face.
So I saw on your social media. Is it accurate to say that you are gunning for February? Is that when you want to return?
Well, yeah, we threw that out there. So that's again, like, there was people were throwing December out there, and that hasn't come to me at all. But I mean, that's
That's very
Christmas.
soon.
Remember, it's very soon, and not just that. It's a quick turnaround for Ortega, which
Right.
wouldn't really be fair. And then you got quarantine. I'm going to be quarantining through Christmas and New Year's. It's just, I just don't think everything lines up, and they haven't even brought that to us anyway. So definitely early next year. That's that's what we've got our eye on.
If you had your choice, would you? It seems, at least for now, it's still Fight Island or Vegas, right? Abu Dhabi or Vegas. Those are the two options for events, unless the world dramatically changes. Would you have a preference?
Not really, not really. If it's no crowds, it doesn't really matter. Again, I learned a lot from the last fighting with no crowd. It was different, and some fighters it might work well for them. Some fighters it might be a little bit different. I felt like Zombie had sort of the same sort of problems I did, where you're so composed. I usually keep myself so composed from big crowds, where I try to do the same thing with no crowd, and I wasn't there. You just stuck. Everything was forced. You had to force every strike you threw. If you get what I'm trying to say, and that's what I feel Zombie was doing. Don't get me wrong. I'm not taking nothing away from Ortega. Ortega definitely used distance and made it hard for him. I know that, but the fact that when I felt Zombie, could throw, and when he was in, safe range to throw, or where he was in a position to throw, he just wouldn't pull the trigger. And I was like, mate, like, I know that feeling. I know what it was. But again, so either way, now I'm happy if it is a crowd or if it isn't. I know from experience that, maybe I'll let my emotions fly a little bit more next time. And so my reaction time's there. So I'm a little bit more on edge. So either way, it doesn't matter. But I want to say, man, Australia, New Zealand, we're holding crowds over here. We had the Wallabies and the All Blacks fight in New Zealand with like 30,000 people. We're going to have 40,000 this weekend. Bring it over here. We could do it. You know what I mean? Like, let's make a game plan. And obviously we got the fighters over here to make it a cracker card, and then you can bring people here, make game plans so the quarantine's gonna work and whatnot. And mate, let's do it. What do you reckon, Ariel?
I love
What are you
that.
thinking, mate?
I was pushing for that to happen when Izzy fought Paulo Costa last month. But then a lot of people said, well, you have all these Americans coming over. Well, first of all, I think you could fill up a card with Australia/New Zealand versus, the world, if you will. I think most fighters would quarantine. I just don't know. Is it a strict 14-day quarantine? That might be the tricky part for the UFC staff coming over. I don't know if they'll want to do that, but certainly, they could sell a lot of tickets, right? With you headlining an event over there at this point.
Well, that is the problem. It's the 14-day quarantine, but I think if you have a game plan, and you have doctors and health ministers and all that type of stuff come up with a plan. They come here, quarantine, do the tests, make sure they're not positive, and then still have them away in hotels and whatnot. And what we did in Fight Island, I think
Yeah,
I feel that was okay.
a bubble,
There
if you
wasn't
will.
no there was no breakouts that I'm aware of. There was people that tested positive and they didn't get out of their hotel room, and then no one else could get it. So it's just obviously get tested before they jump on the plane and all that type of stuff.
Yep.
There'll be protocols. Australia's strict with the laws here with the COVID restrictions, but as long as we abide by them and do everything right, and as long as there's not too much of a hassle for the fighters coming over here, let's do it.
That would be great. It would be a nice scene, no doubt. By the way, since the fight on Saturday, and I know they're very busy, there's the big card coming up this weekend, Khabib and Gaethje, but has your management team talked to the UFC about the plans and what they're thinking, and if it in fact is going to be Ortega? I mean, like, has there been any talk since Saturday's fight?
Uh, Look, I haven't talked to my managers about that yet. I know
Come
that
on,
they're talking
Alex. Don't
before.
lie to me right now.
But
You talked to
I
your
know, I
manager.
know
Come
they'll
on.
talk. I know, I know they're talking before the fight, and it was clear that the winner of that fight is number one contender.
Hmm.
They're clear on that. You know what I mean? And whether they wanted Zombie to win or whatever it is, but when you go out there and take a 5-round shutout, um, you know, dropping a Zombie a few times and really putting on a clinic, I think it's pretty clear. But again, we haven't had that conversation with Sean Shelby or Dana White yet.
Okay. By the way, you have one of the longest winning streaks in the sport right now. The only one off the top of my head. There's probably a couple others, but certainly as champion, who is doing. I mean, on a longer streak, I should say, than you is obviously Khabib. There are other guys out there, John Jones in the equation as well. But just curious if you had a take on Khabib Gaethje this weekend. Who do you think is going to win?
Man, it's just so hard to bet against Khabib. It really is. You know what I mean? I do think these are new challenges. I know people are going to say that to hype up the fights every single time, but they really are new challenges. But again, I just feel that Khabib's game, even on the feet, people keep saying Khabib's going to struggle on the feet, but he's still calculated on the feet. He doesn't take unnecessary risks. You know what I mean? He's still calculated in the way he approaches his shots, the way his shot selection and things like that. So I think he's clever enough to not get caught. But I mean, it's not going to be as easy as it is with all these other opponents taking down Gaethje. Gaethje is explosive, obviously a wrestler, very athletic, and he knows. He's a new fighter. He's not fighting how he used to be. He knows that he can't just rush in and fight, crazy. So I think we're going to see a pretty competitive fight, but it's too hard to bet against Khabib.
Mm. Two last questions for you. Number one, many moons ago, I had the unfortunate luck to try Vegemite, and I've never forgotten the taste. One of the worst days, one of the worst experiences of my life. I saw you rocking a Vegemite shirt, a button-down shirt. It was incredible. I hated it, but I love that shirt. Where did you get a Vegemite shirt like that? It's amazing. I urge everyone to go on your social media, your Instagram to be exact,
Mm,
and you were wearing a beautiful button-down shirt with Vegemite all over it, like the little like
yeah.
the little can of it or whatever. Where did you get such a shirt? Are you sponsored by Vegemite? Is Vegemite, by the way,
Uh,
a brand or is it just like is like butter?
it's the Vegemite. So that shirt is actually, man, I'm giving them a shout out. So Peter Alexander pajamas. So
Oh,
they've made a Vegemite. Mate, I tell you what, I've had so many people send me them. So many people are starting to buy them now. So everyone's liking it. Look, I'm going to tell everyone, if you give Vegemite a chance, because I don't blame you. Not even I can just dig a spoon of Vegemite and eat it like that. That's not how you eat it. So you got to go.
what's
I
the
don't want to
secret?
ruin it for something. Man, you got to get a piece of toast,
Yeah.
get some butter, spread the butter. You can be generous with the butter. If you're not in fight camp, go for it. And then get some Vegemite. You don't need too much. Give it a light spread. You don't want it thick. You want it lightly spread. Then have a try. And mate, it's a game changer. You
Oh,
absolutely love it.
I
It's a
do think.
favorite over here, man.
No, I know. I tried it with some Australian friends when I was in camp, but I do think my problem
They
was
stitch you up, mate.
I put too much. I put like the amount that you put like peanut butter, right? Like on a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, and it was just
Yeah.
so thick, and it was like what? It was the worst. I mean, I never tasted anything like it. Just horrendous. I thought they were. I mean, I can't believe that people actually like it, but the next time I come across it, but just to confirm, is Vegemite the name of a brand, or Vegemite is like there's different brands who do Vegemite? It's like ketchup, right?
Not really. I know there's actually My Mite. There's a couple of certain things, but Vegemite's just that, like that
That
stuff you
thing.
tasted pretty much.
What
Yeah,
does it
that's
come? What does it
Vegemite.
derive from?
Mate, I couldn't even tell you. I couldn't even tell you.
It's the worst.
I don't even know, but yeah,
Okay.
look. It's a strong flavor, and again, for people that are going to try it, don't just cake it on your toast, because not even I could eat it like that, and I love it.
And if you can't, as tough as you are, then I don't think common folk like me can do it. Last thing, the Alexander the Great book, the children's book. This is
Mhm.
phenomenal. I'd love to get one for my children as a father of three young kids. I love that you did this. First of all, could you tell me just why you felt the need to do this, and what is the story about? What's the story in this great children's book that came out a couple months ago?
Yeah, well, man, like, well, you know the persona, you know the image of, like, UFC fighters and MMA athletes and all that, and well enough as well. You've met a lot of them that there's some of the most respectful and the most disciplined people you'll ever meet, and that doesn't come across people. And I'm as much as people want me to talk trash and carry on and do all this sort of, that's just not me, man. I'm not saying I'm perfect. I'm not. I'm far from it, but you know what I mean. I know I try to be the best I can be, and I work hard. I'm disciplined, and all athletes are, not just me, all MMA athletes, and just all athletes in general. And I think we are good role models. But I mean, again, it's hard to show people that. But I want to show people that we are good role models, and that's what this book is all about. It's all about hard work, discipline, eating right. You know what I mean? Again, that's what martial arts has always been about. You go in there, it's about respect. You go in, you bow, and you got to have the right morals and values. And again, I just want to give that back to the younger generation, especially again, the kids that are going in this sport. They probably feel like they have to be a certain way because that's the persona that they're seeing, type thing. You know what I mean? But you don't. You can make it to the top being you, whether people like it or not. I'm always going to be me, and that's that. I'm just a Aussie bogan. You can call me a bogan or a larrikin or whatever it is, but I'm just a chill dude that's taking out the world at the moment. I'm the world champion. So you know what I mean, and that's it's a little bit of my story. But again, it's all about morals and values, and something that I'm proud of our sport as well. And I just want to show that to the world.
Can I get that in the States or only in Australia?
No, we'll get it to you. I'll make sure
Okay.
we get that to you.
Well, just like the general public, can they buy it as well, or is it
Yeah,
only
yeah,
available?
yeah. You can. So we got a Alexander the Great children's book page on
Okay.
Instagram, and you can go alexanderthegreatchildren'sbook.com as well to
Okay.
get to the website.
Oh, I want to
But you
buy
can
one.
go there. I'm posting about it here and there. You'll find it on my Instagram, Alex Volkanovski. So you can see it there. But I'm doing a heap of media about that this week. So I'll have that all through my social media. So
Okay.
keep an eye out.
I will. And last question for you. First full year as champion. However, if things go according to plan, you will have only fought once this year. Now, obviously,
Mhm.
this was a very weird year, and a lot of
Yeah.
people's schedules changed. But dating back to your debut year in 2012, you fought more than once every single year. This is the first time
Mm.
since you debuted that you'll only be fighting once. So how would you describe this year? I mean, obviously great, you win, you're still the champ, but to only fight once, how would you describe that?
I mean, look, it's hard because I've always had from the start, especially in UFC, even before, I always wanted 3 fights a year. That was my number. And there was times where they just didn't end up adding up inside a full calendar year, but it ended up being, say, December, and then December, I still made it inside the 12 months. And just this year, it's just going to be hard. I did want December, but it's just, how and who, you know what I mean? It was unfortunate that it's hard for people to make fights. People can't just take a fight on a couple of weeks' notice and things like that. So it was hard to really get that number one contender spot. So I wanted to fight, early December or even late November would have been good, but it's just obviously the time. So it is different. It's harder. I wanted to keep it there, but again, it's look at the times we're in. So I can't. I'm going to do what I can with what I got. I'm not going to dwell on. I don't look at the negatives. I just look at the positives. But we got some direction now, and if the UFC 100% push that fight on me, we're going to take that as early as we can next year, and and then straight away, mate. I still want these fighters, mate, going there and taking. I want to know who's next straight away. Give me someone who's next, and I'll make sure I get 3 fights next year.
Love it. Alex, pleasure as always. Thank you so much for the time. Hopefully you get that fight sooner rather than later. We can see you back in there in early 2021, and best of luck with the book as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate it, my man. I'll see you later.
Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN Plus.